Good evening, everybody. This is Virginia Dahl from Virginia's Creative Stamping Corner. I am joining you on Facebook Live from Bowie, Maryland, and I am very excited about showing you some of the products that I have for you tonight from the mini catalog. It is March the 21st. It is 7 p.m. and I'm getting ready to show you a really sweet, simple card. I was inspired by one of our top demonstrators in the Stampin' Up community. She actually inspired by several people for the cards that I'm going to show you tonight, but the one I'm demonstrating for you is a very simple card, but it is elegant in the simplicity. I really am looking forward to sharing that with you tonight. Let's go ahead and talk about the mini catalog. The mini catalog is ongoing, January through, and it will be the May 1st, really, April 29th, May 1st, or April 30th, May 1st, will be the last day of the mini catalog. Our annual catalog also lasts until the end of April, and we're all excited about the new stamp sets that we have coming in and some new paper changes. We're adding some, taking away some colors and adding some new colors, and so next week, at the end of the week, we'll be finding out, or actually about midweek, we'll be finding out exactly what those new colors are and learning about pre-ordering from the annual catalog, which we as demonstrators can do, which is a nice perk for being a demonstrator. Okay, so in the mini catalog, we're going to look in just a second on the pages with where the suite of products is, the By the Bay suite that I have advertised the cards for. And I wanted to remind you that there is currently going on an online exclusive promotion through the company, the first of 3 this year. The next one, I believe, will be in July, and the following one will be in November, I think. But in the meantime, these products are available only online, and we've already had to contact our suppliers and get them to send us more of various ones. Like, for example, the card that I did last week, that was one of those sets of products that we ran out of. We just did not realize how popular it was going to be, which apparently, I mean, it's a common thing that happens frequently. So bear with us while we get those supplies back in. They'll be in mid-April, the first part of May. Well, some of those pieces are coming in, not all at once, but kind of scattered throughout mid-April and the first part of May. So we're hoping that the set that I showed you last week will be back. In the meantime, there are many choices on the online store. You'll see the online exclusive products noted or notated with the word new on that. And so go ahead and go to that online store. If you're interested in any of the products that I show you tonight, this is my online store website. If you can't get to that, it's https://virginiadahl.stampinup.net. You can go directly to the stampinup.com website and look for their online store. It's probably one of the first things that comes up when you Google stampinup.com, and then you can proceed from there through the store using my name. If you do not currently have a demonstrator, using my name as your demonstrator. That way I kind of get paper credit for your order, and that helps my business out a lot. So also, please share my video. And one thing about this video is we're going to be editing it and adding it to my YouTube channel. So some of the a little extra stuff that's in here that's kind of funky that doesn't need to be in here will be edited out, and all that information or some of that information will come up on your screen for you, and it'll be a little handier. And also wanted to make sure that I mentioned that usually at the end of every video, on the Facebook page, there's a comment page. Hi Deanna, nice to see you here. There is a comment section, and in the comment section after the video is over, I usually go in and type the information that you need to make the card. Well, I haven't been able to put that into the YouTube video yet, but I just have to kind of figure out how to do that. And I don't think it's difficult. I just have to find what buttons to push and where to put it. So usually in a lot of the videos that I watch on YouTube, they say go to the down below the video to the more button, and that will give you more information. So we'll see if I can find out how to do that. I'll try to figure that out this week. All right, so here's the mini catalog, and on page 22 and 23, these are the products that we're using. By the Bay Suite collection. The paper is wonderful, and I really will take a few minutes to show you that paper because it's amazing. It's 6 by 6, and there's a lot of it. There are 48 sheets of it. So I think you'll really appreciate the variety in that package of paper. So that's it right there, the stamp set and dies. There is a ribbon that comes with it. And let me show you these products now. It's a very light ribbon, and I'm hoping you can see that there is balmy blue and a white. It's like it's ombre. It starts out blue at the top and then fades as it goes down. So that is balmy blue, and it's a very light ribbon, almost seam binding like. It's a wonderful ribbon to tie. Not difficult at all. All right, so let me put that aside. That's one of the products in this suite. The other product is the flat adhesive backed pearls. And let me see if I can get this out so you don't have so much glare. There you go. There they are. Beautiful. They are flat, like our brass butterflies were flat. That'll make it a little easier for this to go through the mail. If you were to send it through the mail, I'd still suggest that you put a piece of cardboard in your envelope, very lightweight cardboard, so that it doesn't really add any weight to your letter or your card, so that it keeps these bumps from pushing through the envelope. Okay, so there you go. The flat adhesive backed pearls. That's part of the suite. Let me show you now and I'll pull the paper out last for the pièce de résistance, the Seaside Bay cling stamp set, and these red rubber, of course, so that's got a nice cushion on it, and we use several pieces there. And then they're by the Bay or Seaside Bay die set, and you'll see that I am using several of these on some of my cards. You'll see that I use this on the one that I demonstrate tonight. And then additional dies that I use are these two in the middle here of the Deckled Rectangle for my sentiment layer. And yes, excuse me, I'm sorry, I've got a frog in my throat. And for the words that I used, on this one I believe I just used, yes, I used the words in the stamp set itself, heartfelt sympathy. On some of the other ones that I used the Something Fancy stamp set that is a complete sentiment set, and the sentiment set comes with a die set that helps make that so much easier to layer. So anyway, those are the pieces that we have that we're using tonight. So there you get a chance to look at them a little bit better. I've fallen in love with the Deckled Rectangle things, dies. They're just wonderful. Anything to help me make my shapes a little bit more interesting, give it a little bit more texture. I really like that. So here we go. All right, so what do we need? Well, let's see. Let's look at the card and see what we need. All right, so here's what we're doing. Put that over to the side here. Okay, here's our card. I'm going to put that up there like that. Oops, you can see the corners of the other ones. Ah, okay, so here we go. We're going to need our envelope, and we are going to need to put a stamp our envelope, the corner of our envelope. We have this piece of designer series paper which was left over from another card that I made, and we'll put this on the inside, on the bottom of the card, because it has seashells on it, and you'll see that that goes very nicely with the card itself. All that works very, very nicely. Now, it's a heartfelt sympathy card. This card could be a birthday card, it could be a congratulations card, it could be any number of different types of sentiments on this card. It's just pretty versatile. All right, and this is our basic white layer. This goes on the inside of the card. It is 4 1/8 by 5 3/8. Then we have our little scrap of, this is Crumb Cake, and I just, as I said before, I used this die to make this part, which goes on the bottom of the card to just give it a little more of a finish, I think. So that part goes on there. Then we have the layer, which I've already done for you. Heartfelt Sympathy, stamped in Night of Navy with Balmy Blue, a Balmy Blue scrap. That you will need a scrap for that. Here is the designer series paper, which measures 4 1/8 by 5 3/8. Again, very narrow margins on my card base, which is Crumb Cake, and this is 5 1/2 by 8 1/2, scored at 4 1/4. All right, all that information again will be at the end of the video, in the comment section. All right, so that's what we've got to do, and it's really simple and easy to put together. You'll see that I did some stamping on the designer series paper. Now, if you don't have the designer series paper, this is kind of a watercolor look, and so I would say you could use watercolor paper and just put streaks of different colors, like the Balmy Blue. This is a little Night of Navy. This is definitely Crumb Cake or Sahara Sand. I believe that's closer to Crumb Cake here. But all the colors that are involved in the paper, the designer series paper, which, oops, I forgot to show you, are these colors right here. We have Coastal Cabana. Okay, sorry. Petal Pink, Night of Navy. This is Soft Sea Foam. No, yeah, Soft Sea Foam. This is Balmy Blue and Pool Party. Those are the colors that are part of this suite, or this designer series paper. And most of the time, that's where I start with my ideas about what colors I'm going to use. I use the designer series paper to help me with that. Now, what I've tried to do here, and I'm going to put this in 2 different rows, I've tried to put this paper so that it's front and back, okay? So this is the front, this is the back, this is the front, this is the back, and I hope you can see some of these papers here, front and back. Okay, try to not to take too much time, front and back, whichever. Again, this piece is amazing because it has, you can see that it's embossed. All right, and then this is the back. All right, front or back with an embossed piece, shiny part to it. It is a specialty paper because of that, and then this piece is the front of that, and you'll see me use that in another card. So that's only part of it. Hold on, let me get the rest of it because there's more to come. Here are some more. All right, so these pieces here, front and back. This piece that we're going to use tonight, here's the back of that piece. Here's that. Here's the back of this piece. Front of that piece, and you'll see that one again later. Front, back of that piece. Front of that piece. and back of that piece. All right, so there you go. That's why I had to split that up into two groups, because that's a lot of paper. So there we go, and I think we can get started with doing our stamping. So the first thing we're going to stamp is the, let's see, what are we going to do? We're going to use our crumb cake, and we're going to use our shells and get our envelope out of the way. Now you can go back in and color these shells if you want to, but I'm going to just go ahead and go through here. This is an older pad, so I always turn it over and make sure that that is nice and inked, and I look for the edges to make sure that there's no extra along the edges. Okay. And I do too, Deanna. I love these. I love a beach scene, and so this is a lot of fun. This is a lot of fun. There we go. Deanna's comment was she loved the colors and the card. You can find those papers. Oh, she missed where we could find the papers on page 23. Let me find that again in the mini catalog. Look on page 23 in the mini catalog, and there are the papers. And of course, at the very bottom, I love that Stampin' Up! Does this. They mention exactly what the colors are that are in the paper, because sometimes in print it doesn't translate very well into the actual color. So, but these are the colors that are mentioned down here. Okay. All right, and so it's 6 by 6, and you get 48 sheets, so that's quite a lot of paper. Okay, so there we go. We've got our envelope ready and done. So good. Okay, so that was our crumb cake. We are going to come back to our crumb cake in just a minute and use that with another stamp. And I did use with the Night of Navy. I'm going to go ahead and say this. I used Night of Navy to stamp the Heartfelt Sympathy. So that's this stamp here, and that came directly from the Seaside Bay stamp set. And then these little guys we're going to stamp directly on the paper in just a couple seconds with early Expresso. So there we go. We have that. Let's go ahead and stamp. We don't need anything, any kind of padding underneath our designer series paper or our paper, because it is good to go. And I'm going to take that crumb cake again, and now I want you to notice on this card there are certain designs where that goes, and then it turns and goes another way and then goes back this way again. So what I did, and this was the idea, this card was inspired by Su Mohr, M-O-H-R, and she has a fantastic blog and a series of videos that she's always producing, and her website is called aromasandart.com. She is so creative. I have really almost fallen in love with what she does. But anyway, so we're going to take this and turn it like this, all right? And we're going to stamp on the bottom of this paper underneath the sand bank right here, okay? That's what I'm pretending it is, okay? So I'm going to just sort of stamp that. I'm going to leave some space for my bird to go there. I'm doing this first before I do my birds. All right, now I'm going to take and stamp again, turning my stamp around so that it looks like this. And I'm going to go down a little bit below it. Okay, like that. Okay, and then I'm going to take it again and flip it one more time so that the stamp looks like that. And do this. Okay, so there we go. And that's our crumb cake. Speckled sand kind of look. Gives it a little bit more texture. Now we're going to take our birds, and here are our birds, and I think they're called sanderlings. I believe that's what they're called. Anyway, those funny little birds that just run around and hop in and out of the waves and look for those little clam things that come up at, or those little crab things that come up. So here's early espresso, and we're just going to take this very gently, do that. It is almost kind of like the texture of this stamp is almost kind of like a oh, what do they call it? Almost a photograph, kind of. I'll think of the word here in a little bit, but I want to make sure I get this right about there. Okay. Now, you're going to end up seeing through them, and you get a little color, and I think that makes it a little bit more interesting. You get a little color with those little guys running around like that. So, there you go. Anyway, this is pretty much what she did. I added a little bit more here, and I'm going to add a little bit more on a couple of other things. But let's go ahead and put on the very bottom of this that piece that I said that I wanted to make sure that we added to it. That piece of Crumb Cake, which is from one of the dies. It's from one of the dies in that die set, and I'm looking for. All right, there's when this I don't know if you can see this or not. This kind of has a rough side to it and a smooth side, and I'm going to go ahead and use the smooth side. So I'm just going to go ahead and do this on here, taking my Tombo glue and see, this is longer. Remember, this is longer than the piece of paper that we're gluing it on, but not by much. So I'm not going to put a lot of glue down here on this end of it, this short end. Okay, and so I'm just going to kind of dot some glue on that. I think you can see that. And all right. There we go, right there. These make wonderful cards. And as I said, you could make this any kind of a card that you wanted to, with any kind of greeting on it. I'm going to push that down just a little bit. There we go. I like that. I think that kind of finishes the page off by putting that little piece on the very bottom, that little border. So I'll take my scissors, my snips, and you see that tiny little edge right there. I'll just make sure I snip that off. Okay. Very little waste there. All right. Now, I'm going to go ahead and add this to my card base. Okay. As I said, this is a very simple card, and because of the designer series paper, this is reminiscent, to me anyway, of the On the Horizon designer series paper we had a couple of mini catalogs ago, and it just really reminds me, I love these scenes, the watercolor like scenes, because you can do so much with them, and it does save me a little bit of work having to come up with my own. So here we go, and I'm going to notice there's a very thin little border all the way around, so I'm looking to see, hopefully I've done pretty well with doing that on there. And you don't have to, you don't really have anything popped up off of it, but you do have a nice, except for the sentiment. And then I'm going to add the sentiment to it now. So I'm going to glue the basic white down to the Balmy Blue. And you can use any adhesive that you desire. You can use your snail or your Stampin' Seal, whatever you happen to use, or any kind of tape runner that you might happen to have, and that these nestle or fit right inside. That's another reason why I really, really like them, because I don't have to worry about the size being off. Okay, so there we go. There's that. I'm going to pop that up with regular dimensionals. And I'm going to be a little generous with my dimensionals. I don't want it being, you know, falling apart or coming apart in the mail or moving over. So there we go with that. So I'm going to pull the backings off. I'm using the edge of my fingernail. You can also use your take your pick tool. That works very nicely. All right, now to position this, I tend to like to try to take it down to the bottom of the edge of my table if I don't have a piece of grid paper underneath of it, and just look and see how that goes, kind of getting a good idea if I like where that is. Almost. Not quite. Then I'll push it down. Okay, that's okay. I think that's all right. Okay, now the last thing I'm going to do at the front, we still have the insert to put in, so let's forget about that. I did find other ones. I didn't quite think the pearls kind of went with it, because there's a in the Seaside Bay there's a clam with a pearl, and I figure if when I make a card with the pearl and there's a pearl there, I definitely will use these flat adhesive backed pearls. So anyway, but that is also part of the suite. But I went with the Faux Sea Glass Shapes that we have in our annual catalog, and I decided to go with the white, but I think I might change that because I don't know how well you can see that, but I have like each bird kind of picking at a little piece of the sea glass, and then there's this piece there, so that means there are 5 embellishments on this card. Typically I go to 3 to 5. 5 usually is the most that I do. I want to see how this greenish one looks, if it makes any difference. So let's do a little comparison. I can move these around if I need to, but you might be able to see that a little bit better there. So I think I'll pull out this middle one, put one there, so you can kind of see it a little bit. And whoops, there we go. It flipped over. This little guy, who's a little hard to see anyway, I give him a little piece right there. So you kind of can see the contrast between those two, and you can kind of decide if you still like the clear ones or the ones that have a little color to them. And I think I need one on either end there, so I'm going to take the last 2 here, put one here, and put one here. Now there is an end or an edge to, oops, I say whoops because it flipped over on me. There we go. So there we have our card, except we have to put the inside together. But anyway, so that's the difference. I wanted to kind of show you that it could look slightly different that way. And there we go. So yeah. Put that up there so it doesn't go rolling anywhere. I'm using my Stampin' Seal. I do like that better for an insert, because if I need to, I can remove this insert and resend the card to someone else, which I have done on a number of occasions. If I see a card, or I get a card in the mail that I think one of my friends will really particularly like, I might just take the insert out and send the card to a friend, and that way it's getting more than, more use than I, oh, I don't want to do that just yet. I'm going to put this down here. I'm going to add more use than just me seeing it. So I'm going to put that aside here. Got ahead of myself, sorry. I'm going to put a little bit of glue on the bottom of this and attach it to that. So now that's a good thing that I have my silicone craft mat right there, because that way, and this is definitely a little longer. So let me see how far I should make my glue go. All right, I'll put a little divot there so that I don't go too far with my glue. Just a little bit there. There we go. And this will give me an opportunity, if I need to have a little bit of wiggle room. Let's see. Yeah, put a little bit there. All right, now that paper is non-directional, so if these shells look like they're upside down, well, okay, you don't find everything on the beach exactly straight. So here we go, and I'm going to see if I got that straight on there. I believe I did. If I need to move it around, I have a little bit of wiggle room there. Okay, excellent. And then there's another little piece that I just cut off, and we're done. And so that's the inside of our card. Okay. Oh, and there we go. Remember that this insert is the same size as the designer series paper on the outside, 5 3/8 by 4 1/8. So you have very little room on either side for that. Oops, I think look, I put that on crooked, so now I can just pull it right off. I would have trouble doing that with the glue. I didn't get it all the way smoothed down. So I can just kind of quickly pull that off. So aren't you glad when I make mistakes and I can show you how to fix them? Yeah. Here we go. Let's see, that's a little bit better. And that looks better to me. Okay, good. Yes, I didn't like so much down here at the bottom. All right, so there is our card. We are done. How about that? Very, very fast. Okay, so there is our card. And let me show you the other cards that I have for you. These were, well, this one actually, Jody and I got together this week and did some stamping. And she was at, I think it was the day after, or maybe it was actually St. Patrick's Day. We got together using some of the designer series paper, layering it up a little bit. This is Coastal Cabana, this is Petal Pink. And using here's some of the designer series paper and some of the dies from the die set. Okay, some of the shells, we use those. And I thought that would just give it, and again, some of the faux sea glass pieces with Deepest Sympathy. And then on the inside there are that's Petal Pink. And that's the basic white envelope. All right, and insert. So that's one. And then this one I kind of did a couple of different ways. Laura Siki from Southridge Studio was the inspiration for this one. May the good you do come back to you. Now that's from something fancy. I thought maybe that could be a gender neutral type of card, whether you want to call it masculine, feminine, whatever. And I made another one with the other side. Now what you'll notice that this is embossed. The Crumb Cake, or actually this is Sahara Sand. And then this designer series paper is also embossed with the same embossing folder. Now one of the seashell ones, I forget, I'm sorry, the name of it. And these are the something fancy dies that go with that sentiment set. And I think they work beautifully. I could probably put a couple little pieces of faux sea glass there. If I wanted to, I might just do that. And then this is the linen thread that we have, and I tied an itty bitty little bow on that one. So there you go. So that's what I did. And Jody and I did this together, and I believe she and I made pretty similar cards. She had I gave her two of the birds, so there we go. And that's what we did together. So she helped me get my Facebook Live event ready by helping me design a couple of these cards. Again, I look through Pinterest and look on the website and look through the catalog and see what is out there, and then I basically try to figure something out based on what I happen to have. So here we go. I think I'm going to turn that up there so now you can see. All right, so thank you so much for joining me. I hope you have had a good day. Take care of yourselves and your families. I hope everyone is well in your household, and then you that you are taking, you're able to be out and about. And make sure that during the week you have an opportunity, if not every day, at least once during the week, a chance to do something for yourself and do something creative. I find it's the best mental health medicine I can use. So take care of yourselves. Thanks for watching. And remember that at the end of the video, I will put the information about the card measurements, etc. Okay? Take care. Bye.